Hi, I'm so glad to be here. I'm trying to figure out how to share my source sheet, which I made, but I don't see a way to do that right now. But if anybody wants, later on, I could share a source sheet on Safari. So I want to tell you a little bit about Ivri energy, which really, I would say I have two threads that are my main secret to strength, and that's what I want to share with you. It really is seeing tomorrow today. That's what I'm calling this, because what is tomorrow? Tomorrow is Machar, and I want to tell you about how Machar, tomorrow, fits into in Shifra's arms. But the first thing that I want to tell you about is being an Ivri, being an other-sider, being a Hebrew, Ivri. But what does that mean to be an Ivri? Where did that name come from? It's the first name that the Jews were called. We're actually called 4 different names in the Torah: Hebrew, Jew, Yehudi, Israelite, Yisrael, and Yeshurun, Jeshurun. But I'm just going to talk about the first one tonight, Ivri, an other-sider. That's what it really, we say Hebrew, but really if we translate it into English, it's other-sider. How is that a source of strength? But for me, it really is. Abraham and Sarah were called other-siders. They were called Hebrews because they came from the other side of the river. But we're not all called that because of the geographic location from which our ancestors hail. We're called that because it says something about the essence of who we are. We are other-siders. Think about, I don't know about you, how contrary you might be, or could be, or need to be. The holy chutzpah that we need to have, the sometimes unholy chutzpah that we do have, but that's all rooted in the energy of other-sider, the ability to stand alone and stand apart, do something very different than everybody else is doing. So we have this energy as individuals, as families, as a nation. We stand apart and we stand alone. So Abraham, who's the first other-sider, when he first was told, Lech lecha, go to yourself, he wasn't shown what tomorrow would look like. That's why it was a really hard test for him. God just said, go to yourself, go. Just get out of here and go to where I'm going to show you, with no vision of what that was going to be. It was a total trust, not fall, but trust jump forward, total trust jump. But later, when Abraham was trying to figure out how is this going to work for my descendants, it's one thing for me to do a trust jump, but now, God, you've said you've picked me, and I don't understand how this is going to work, like that I'm going to have children, that I'm going to be the father of a great nation, that my children will choose you. How is that going to work? Abraham asks Hashem. And Hashem says, don't worry at all. I have a total plan for you. The plan is, I'm going to show you tomorrow. He shows him the plan in the covenant between the parts. And the plan is kind of a scary plan. Let me just tell you what he says. I'll just read it in English. He says, know well that your offspring will be strangers in the land not theirs, and they'll be enslaved and oppressed for 400 years. That's a bad tomorrow. But I'll execute judgment on the nation that they shall serve. Okay, that's a better tomorrow. And in the end, they shall go out free with great wealth. And as for you, even the next tomorrow, you will go to your fathers in peace. You will be buried at a ripe old age. Okay, so now Hashem is actually sharing with Abraham a message. Look, I have a workshop designed for your children. We're not going to discuss the workshop now, but he's got a whole workshop design. He says, Abraham, don't worry. I know you chose me. It was a whole big process, the whole Lech Lecha, the whole story, everything that you went through. There was a lot of work for you to choose me. I gave you a lot of workshops for you to grow through. But don't worry, I have one planned just right for your children. I'm going to send them into the crucible of Egypt. I'm going to squeeze them tight. Mitzrayim, Egypt means tightness, a squeeze. I'm going to squeeze them so hard. But then I'll take them out, and in those empty places, I'll let them absorb the light of the Torah at Mount Sinai, and they'll be transformed into my children, into my family. So it's a whole long process. But Abraham was first given strength by being able to see tomorrow. I love that Rivka Malka started with compassion, because compassion and tomorrow actually are spelled with the same letters. Compassion is rachamim, which is actually the root of the word rechem, womb. And if you rearrange those letters, you get tomorrow, because the womb and compassion is all about seeing tomorrow, all about seeing what could be. If you think about it, Rabbi David Foreman teaches, think about like the difference between rachamim, mercy or compassion, and justice, din. You know, on the high holy days, we ask Hashem, please, Hashem, get out of your chair of judgment, move over to your chair of mercy and judge me from that place, please. And what are we saying? God, don't notice what I did. God can't not notice what we did. God is a God of truth. He sees everything. So we can't say, please turn a blind eye to everything I did, even though like we're too nervous to be judged in that space. So what do? We say, please, God, ask a different question about us. Don't ask the question from your throne of judgment. What have you done? That's the throne of judgment. And it's a scary question. What could the answer be? Yikes, things I shouldn't have, or not enough. Like he's not. So we're saying, please, God, ask us a question from your throne of mercy. What is that? It's the question of the womb. It's the question of tomorrow. What question does the womb ask the zygote that presents itself? Right? That newly fertilized egg that presents itself to the womb. The womb can't ask the question, what have you done? Because it has no past. But it still has to evaluate. Shall I invest in you? Shall I give you 9 months of my time and energy? Shall I throw up over you and mess up my figure because of you and spend $250,000 on yeshiva tuition before college on you? Shall I? Right? So the womb has to ask that question. And the question is only a question of future. It's a question of tomorrow. Not what have you done? Who can you become? Who can you become? That's the question of compassion. It's the question of where am I going? What is my direction? Who can I become? How can I see tomorrow today? How can I look forward and see why it's worth it to hang on? And that is what Hashem was first teaching Abraham in that first covenant between the parts is, let's look for tomorrow. I'm going to show you where tomorrow is and how you can get there. And then that tool is really used. Think about now in this week's Parsha, Shifra. The midwife Shifra is told by Pharaoh, kill all the children, all of them. Well, kill all the male children, all of them, and only let the girls live. And in the first act of civil disobedience, Shifra, the strong woman, says, I will never answer that I'm just following orders. I'll make a decision for myself what I'm supposed to do. I'll be an Ivri. I'll use my Ivri energy of standing strong, standing alone, and standing apart, and I'll make a good decision of who I need to be by seeing tomorrow. No, we need all these children, but I will stand strong in my Ivri energy. And then we see just a little bit forward, whether Shifra and Miriam are the same person or not, but we see Miriam in just a few chapters later, the next chapter actually, where the Midrash teaches that she tells her father to remarry her mother. She speaks up, a little girl speaks up and says, Dad, you can't divorce mom just because Pharaoh made an evil decree and you're too nervous to bring forth children into the world. Well, your decree is even worse than Pharaoh's decree. Pharaoh decreed only against the boys, and yet you decree against the girls too, because you don't know what's going to be conceived. So you have a little chutzpahdik Miriam who's able to stand strong and stand apart. She uses her Ivri energy against her parents. Right? Really, you're supposed to follow what your parents do. But she, as a little girl, says, I'm an Ivri. I know what I stand for. And I stand for tomorrow. That's what I stand for. I stand for strength and the Jewish people. And Dad and Mom, you have to get back together. And so they remarry. And they have Moshe Rabbeinu. They have the bringer of tomorrow. And then you have actually coming out of Mitzrayim, where we're given our superpower as Jews. And this is really my very favorite mitzvah, if I could say there's a favorite, is when we first come out of Egypt. The first mitzvah that we get is Rosh Chodesh. Okay, count a new month. The month starts again. But it's not just that. It's actually the power of making everything new. Because the verse says, HaChodesh hazeh lachem l'rosh chodeshim, this month shall be to you the first of all months. But Rav Hirsch says, not this month shall be to you the first of months, also that, but really this newness shall be to you the first of all newnesses. And really what Hashem was saying is where you're going, Jewish people, my beautiful children, you're going to have to remake yourself again and again and again. Like it's just not going to do. Whatever you came from, you're going to have to shed it and you're going to have to go forward. You're going to have to see a new tomorrow and a new tomorrow and a new tomorrow and leave behind the past and step into your future and leave behind the past and step into your future. And for that, you need hitchadshut, the ability to make yourself new and new again and new again. And if you wonder why we're the startup nation and we know how to start up, it's because of this. This is the superpower of the Jewish people, is the ability to start up, to start again, start afresh, make a new day, make a new moment, make a new hour. It is this power that we have to be able to see that wherever I'm going, I can't get there with the tools that I used to have. I have to make something new. I have to start afresh. I have to stand strong, stand apart, step forward in a new way. So that is the koach of hitchadshut. But then, and we see then Miriam takes that, she packs the drum. She says, oh, we're leaving Egypt. It's a scary time, but I'm going to take my instruments. I see tomorrow today. I know for sure we're going to celebrate. There's going to be a time to use this. I see it. I see it ahead. Okay, now let's talk about how you use that as a tool. How do you use that Ivri energy as a tool? We could for sure see the energy of tomorrow as a tool to keep your eye ahead. But what about that ability to stand strong and stand apart and stand alone? So I'll tell you the story, a brief story of when I was in the hospital one time with a grandson who was not healthy at all. And we were just beginning to understand how unhealthy he was. And I was in the hospital and it seemed that he had a seizure disorder. And they were trying desperately to stop these seizures. One medicine, another medicine, 1 week, another week, a third week, a third medicine, a fourth week. And now they wanted to take away, they wanted to put him on the keto diet to stop these seizures, and no nursing because nursing milk has too much sugar in it. And it was so hard. But now that my daughter couldn't nurse this 6-week-old baby, 8-week-old baby, I said, go home. I'll stay in the hospital with him for Shabbos. You know, you can't nurse him anyway. I'll be here. Don't worry. Go home to your other children. So I thought, okay, I'm in the hospital on Shabbos. It's not Shabbostic at all in a hospital on Shabbos, but I'm an Ivri and I know how to be here. Like I know how to be an other sider and just create a space around me that's like, I'm totally an other sider and it's Shabbos. I'll be in my Shabbos bubble. I know how to be here. And then after my moment of strength, I had a moment of, oh my gosh, a baby that might die. Like, we don't even know what's going to happen with him. Like, what is this? So hard to go through this. Like, here is Mitzrayim, this narrow place of being squeezed so tight, and you're just walking through. When will I get to the other side? It's so hard. And I thought, oh my gosh, the other side. That's what this whole world is this very, very narrow place where you're squeezed so tight and you're just trying to get to the other side. That's right. Kol ha'olam kulo gesher tsar ma'od. What is this world but this narrow place? A narrow what? It's a bridge. A narrow bridge. What is this world bridge? It bridges the soul world to the soul world, right? Before we're born, we're a soul. And then we dip into this world and we wear a body. And when we shed our body, we're a soul still. And where are we going? Going to the other side of the bridge. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's who I really am. I'm an Ivri. I'm an other sider. Like I'm from the other side of the bridge. That's where I'm from. I'm a bat olam haba. That's who I am, a daughter of the next world. I'm a soul wearing a body. I know how to go through hard times. I could totally do this. I could stand alone in this narrow place and look ahead to, I have to look ahead to olam haba to feel better about this whole thing. That's a long way off. It's a long way off. And right now is really hard. And I realized there that if you want to get through the hard, you have to go through it. There's no way around it. That what you have to do is see ahead to the positive and walk through the difficult. The only way to get the whole is through the broken, And as I thought about that, I thought about, oh my gosh, that's the sounds of the shofar, right? You have Tekiah, Hol, Shvarim broken, Tkiya whole, Tkiya whole, Trua broken, Tkiya whole. Again, whole, broken, whole. That's our lives. We go from wholeness to brokenness to wholeness to brokenness to wholeness to brokenness to ultimate wholeness, Tkiya Gdola. We have to hold on and go through these narrow places, seeing tomorrow today. But we don't have to walk alone. We could just put our hand up and say, Hashem, could you please cross me the bridge? It's not an easy place to cross, and I don't know if I could go by myself. I need a helping hand. I could be an Ivri and stand alone, but not all alone. Please hold my hand while I cross the bridge and go through these narrow places to get to my ultimate wholeness. But that's where I'm headed, is to the other side, because that's who I am. I'm an other sider. So that is my secret to strength, is knowing that I could stand alone, always with Hashem, but I could stand alone in a holy chutzpah, sometimes in an unholy chutzpah, but I could stand alone and stand strong and stand apart, but keep my eye on the prize, which is who I really am. I'm a daughter of the other side. I stand strong as a soul waiting to be fully expressed. And here I'm working on it. That's my secret to strength.